Hello, welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs Podcast. We're on season 3, episode number 43. We're your hosts, Dan and Andy. Andy, how are you?
I am good. How about yourself?
Good, very good. Today's September 12th, 2022, and we just basically completed or in the process of completing week 1 of the NFL season.
Yes. Final game is tonight.
Final game's tonight. It's going on right now. Now, I've got a trivia question, Andy, that relates to the NFL week 1.
Okay.
Now, typically, Las Vegas odds, if you're putting money down in the NFL, it's a pretty good bet to usually bet the home team if it's going to be close.
Home team always gets 3 points right off the bat.
3 points right off the bat. It's a big thing in the NFL. Now, this first week, it was interesting, but can you name what the win-loss record was of the home teams in the opening week, excluding tonight's game?
There was one tie. I know that. There was one tie. I got that.
Yes, there was even a tie.
There was almost 2 ties that Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game went.
Very, very close.
Yes.
But the win-loss record of the home teams for week 1 is very interesting. You can certainly look it up, but we'll cover that later in the show, the answer to that. But
I was the road team in both of my fantasy leagues and lost, if that helps at all. So.
Okay, now that's normal. Fantasy.
Yeah, I was 0-2 on the road, so
tough. It's tough to play on the road in fantasy.
It's tough to win on somebody else's notepad,
Oh yes.
All right, I got a few. We'll start with some football, non-pro football. Go to our high school and colleges that we like. Some high school scores again, and these are just teams like I said. Fans have said, "Hey, I went there," or "Damn it, I went there." We kind of follow these teams.
Yes.
Schools that we saw did well last year, kind of following up how they're doing. Some high school scores over the weekend. Jordan over New Ulm, 48-7. Minnetonka on the road beats Blaine, 21-14. Winnimac, 9-man beats Lake of the Woods, 44-24. Blooming Prairie, 6. Lester Prairie, 26.
Okay.
New York Mills over Walker. Hackensack, Eatley, 47-6. So New York Mills is taking it out on everybody right now.
Wow. Those last couple of years have been really good for them.
Yeah, they're hungry. Mayor Lutheran 27-6 over New Richland, and Northern America over Lakewood Valley 30-22. Moving our way up the ranks, the Beavs, Bemidji State,
okay,
finally win their conference first time ever last year. Are now 0-2. They lost to number 19 Augsburg 29-30. So they've lost 2 close games. But, close games don't put you in the playoffs. Wins put you in the playoffs.
Yep.
So morale and practices have to be good. They're there. So that's a good thing about the close games. Close games don't feed the dog, though. Their next game is their homecoming game at home against Winona State. So hopefully they could get off the schneid there. Bison 56-14 over Drake. Saturday at 10 p.m. our time. FS1. Bison at Arizona for football.
Okay. I did not have that on my list, but that should be good.
So take a nap Saturday.
Finally, they got that scheduled.
Yeah, so take a nap. It's a 10 p.m. start. Or longer nap than usual, I should say.
Longer than usual, yes.
Let's admit it. Gophers 62-10 over Division II Western Illinois. They play Colorado next at home on Saturday, 2:30.
Now, I've got some updates. I don't know if you have any notes on this, Andy, but right now the Gophers are the number 1 ranked team in college football for total offense.
Yes.
Second, I think, in the country in rushing offense.
Played at Division II and New Mexico State, so way to go. Way to pad the stats.
We're not padding the stats, but they also have 12 rushing touchdowns thus far. That leads the nation for the Gophers. So if you're looking at stats that you may want to put an asterisk next to them, kind of misleading.
Yep.
It's the Gophers. Now, they are ranked 30th right now.
Yeah.
In the nation.
You hear those numbers, they're still not in the top 25, so.
But they're doing what they need to do and should have been doing against these teams all these years.
Yeah.
This is the types of scores you need to see.
Yeah.
They play Colorado. They're also 27.5 point favorite over Colorado. But the following week is when the rubber meets the road. Michigan State, they're currently ranked 14th, and the Gophers by then could be in the top 25. That should be a realistic game, but that's all I've got here.
And so the Big Ten notes. I I do have my phone here in case it rings. I know Nebraska fired their football coach.
Yes.
So I got my phone here in case they call. So pardon the interruption.
Case, Scott Frost left.
He did drop my name because I talked to him. I said, Scott, buddy, I'm sorry. And here's an odd thing I heard today too. I can't remember. In the school's entire history for all of Nebraska sports, this interim coach they have for football, first African-American head coach you've ever had at that school.
Makes sense for Nebraska. That's
you figure all these years somewhere, and this isn't like volleyball or tennis or something, someone would have snuck in there, But no,
so you're saying all sports.
All sports in Nebraska.
Football, not surprised, but boy,
football,
all sports,
basketball, tennis, golf, swimming.
Never.
Badminton. Yeah.
Wow.
I thought for sure somewhere, like I said, a tennis or something, one would have slipped in. So, now I don't mean that bad when I say that, but you would have had one somewhere, you'd think. But
interesting.
Now
the Gophers this coming week, play Colorado. Typically a good football team. Right?
Yeah.
They've been down the last couple of years. They're currently ranked, I looked it up, 97th in the nation. So this should be another easy win for the Gophers. 2:30 game, afternoon, outdoors. You got to love it, the first 3 games this season. But like I said earlier, this is what this Gopher team should have been doing for the last 5, 10, 15 years, your first 3 games. You need to be putting up some huge numbers. And the Gophers in the past were either losing or squeaking out small wins over Division II teams and things.
Yeah.
So this is fun to watch.
Builds up your confidence too,
Yeah, it's all part of that. It all goes into it. But good job, Fleck. Most points ever put up under a PJ Fleck coach team this last week. Go ahead.
Coach Ertz back at North Dakota State right now, our football coach at North Dakota State University, is one of the names as a possible replacement at Nebraska.
Okay.
So I'll more on that later in the week as those, everybody throws their name, every local school, their coach is one of the candidates. But Wednesday I'll do my small college, high school update, and I'll have more poop, as we say, on that.
On your page 2?
Yes, page 2 Wednesday Instagram show. NASCAR raced in Kansas this weekend. Like I said, it's the race for the cup. Everybody races, not just the 16 guys in the playoffs. The winner of the race was William Darrell Wallace Jr. You may know him as Bubba Wallace.
Bubba.
He won. Denny Hamlin second. Christopher Bell third. In the championships right now, it's Christopher Bell, William Bryan, and Denny Hamlin are top 3. Now the bottom 4 looking out with one more race to go before they cut the bottom 4. Harvick's 35 points out of the last spot. Chase Briscoe 9 points out. Austin Dillon 3 out. And Kyle Busch is 2 out. And he's 2 behind 2 other guys holding on. So there's like 6 guys fighting for those last 2 spots. Really 7, the guy above him. He's only like 4 more points ahead of them. So lots of jockeying can go around there. Kevin Harvick needs to win or he's going home. He's been saying some pretty rotten things in the media lately about his team, and he's pretty frustrated. So, yeah, he's done. But that's that. Congratulations to Lindsay Whalen. Basketball Hall of Fame induction over the weekend. So, local gal out of Hutch there. So, congrats to Lindsay. Major League Baseball. Let's get right into the beast here.
Oh, yes.
Okay. We'll get into the rule changes later. Let's kind of go over the standings real quick. And this is going into today's game. So this is on a Monday, going as of Monday morning. Mets had a 1.5 lead over Atlanta, the magic number at 21. And a 10.5 game lead over Philadelphia, magic number there 12 to eliminate the Phillies. St. Louis has an 8-game lead over Milwaukee with a 14 magic number. This is not a typo. I checked it twice. Dodgers have a lead. The second place team is 20 games out. Magic number is 3. So Dodgers from LA. Wild card right now, it's looking at Atlanta, Philadelphia, and San Diego, and Milwaukee's 2 out. Yeah. I don't think Milwaukee's going to catch them.
It's going to be tough.
I think these teams that are here, that's your playoffs for the National League. Mets, Braves may fluster, and who's the division winner? Who's the wild card? Maybe the Phillies and San Diego.
What if the Brewers had Hader, though?
But he's been not doing so well in San Diego either. So, but that trade just something snapped him. He just done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think Milwaukee's going to do it. That's San Diego's just too good. So San Diego, Philly may flop spots there, wild card standings, but I think the teams are set for National League. American League. Yankees have a 5.5 game lead over Tampa, 6 over Toronto, and 11.5 over Baltimore. 18 for a magic number to get Tampa eliminated there. Cleveland's got a 2.5 game lead over the White Sox and a 4.5 over the local 9. 21 and 20 other respective magic numbers there. Houston's quietly got 90 wins and an 11 game lead.
Wow.
Over Seattle. 12 was a magic number there. Here's what's a little exciting for the wild card here. Tampa Bay and the White Sox each have a half game lead over Toronto for the wild card, and Baltimore's 5.5 out.
The Orioles.
Sorry, Baltimore, though, 5.5 out. That's going to be tough because these other three are playing really good ball right now. So those three in the wild card might bump spots, but again, I think the teams that are set for the playoffs are set right now for American League also.
Yep.
They're all both set. It's just going to be who's going to be where, and hopefully everybody's healthy. Major League Baseball this week did announce some rule changes for next year.
Okay.
I'm happy with some. I'm not happy with others. We'll discuss as we go along here. First rule change, and I like this rule change, but this will be the hardest one because we grew up in the Nomar Garcia Parra, Derek Jeter at-bats, David Ortiz, where they take their sweet old time. So we have pitch clock now. The bases are empty. You have 15 seconds in between pitches. Batter better be ready or it comes in. 20 seconds if there's a runner on base. I don't have the number here, but they also said they're going to limit the number of times you could throw over to first also. So after that, the guy could take off. Can he lead halfway down?
Yes.
The catcher throws to first. Is that considered a pick-off?
It's true.
That's stuff they got to hammer out there. But the hitter gets one timeout per plate appearance. And they're saying in a regular nine-inning game, they should reduce the game by 26 minutes. So if the game's averaging 3.5 hours anyway, you're going to 2.5, 3 hours. I got no problem sitting outside for 3.5 hours watching a ball game. So, and the time in between that bats, I kind of get that part. But then again, the reverse side of it is, if your pitcher's sucking wind and this batter's taking time between bats, that's giving you more time for your reliever to warm up. So sometimes you don't mind that this batter's taking a long time, Yeah. Maybe your pitcher needs a rest because he's having a long inning. He wants a little break in between himself. So I see both sides of the pitch clock one. I'm going to skip Rule 2 for now, come back to that later. Rule 3, the shift. 2 infielders on either side of second base when the pitch is released. So I think the reason they said that is in case a runner's stealing second or third, you got to cover the base there.
I see.
So I think that's why they kind of say when the pitch is released. All 4 infielders must have both feet on the infield when the pitcher's on the rubber. Now they could be on the grass, but they got to be on that inside dirt around the bases. That's where they got to be. So they can't be like Chuck Knobloch and playing a shallow right field. They got to be on the dirt.
Now, for the teams with artificial turf domes that don't have dirt,
they have that white line.
The white line, okay.
I don't like that one so much. Okay, I'll give you 2 guys on each side of second base. I'll live with that. If that second baseman wants to play a shallow right field, let him. That's me. The one I'm not too con on here is bigger bases. You go from 15 square inches to 18 square inches. And they say this is for player safety. Right now in Major League Baseball, all of baseball, we're 100 and some games in. We're 4/5 of the way through the season. The league leader in stolen bases has 33. The last time someone had Guy Gordon had 60 back in 2017, so that was 5 years ago. And Jose Reyes of the Mets in 2007 had 78. You and I in our generation go with almost 100 stolen bases a year between Ricky Henderson, Vince Coleman, Marquise Grissom, Tim Raines. We had guys stealing 100 bases all the time. This bigger bases, it says for safety. Is it going to increase the stolen base number? You got some of these guys that got a little bit closer reach here. I'm 3 inches closer on each side. So when they say that 90 feet between bases, it's from middle of the base to middle of the base. So they're not changing that. But you're a little bit closer. So if you got some wheels, I'm not saying Ricky's numbers are going to get broken. I'm not saying any of these stolen base numbers are going to get shattered. No. Not saying that. Because with the shift and everything else, why aren't you stealing more bases? That's what I can't figure out. They got 3 guys on the left side of the infield. And you're on first. Well, no, of course don't steal because they're standing right on top of second. Or in other ways too, but you know what? You see it every now and then. If they do steal second and the ball gets away, there's no one at third.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that third baseman's one covering second if you steal because everybody else is so far over or back. So you could almost get 2 bases out of it because who's going to get, So I don't think it's going to affect the stolen bases because with the shift the last few years, you've really seen that number go down again. But
yeah, I think it's more of an incentive. They're saying that to try to draw fans to the ballpark to be more exciting, more wild.
It's
more
to be safer for the players.
No, they're doing it for the safety and I think to make a little money for the companies, making these bases and reinstalling the plugs at first and third base that now have got to all get moved. I don't think it's going to impact anything.
Teams have to buy. You buy all new bases anyway. Yeah, you buy all new bases anyway.
At first base, you're going to get a little more leeway room to do it, but someone's going to be making a handful of companies going to be making a lot of money on this change, and I think that's all we're really looking at. I don't think it'll be an impact on stolen bases.
How many close plays do you see at first? Now that guy's 3 inches closer to catching that ball.
Yep, and it's got room for him and the runner to have their footwork so they don't get tangled up. But those close plays could make a difference. I don't know what impact, but
I'd be okay if the first base was like the softball first baseman was the orange one on the other side for safety reasons.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I would be okay with that at first base if they made it bigger on the foul side to avoid stuff. I would give you that.
Wasn't this larger bases already approved last year to be put into place for the 2020? I'm sure we already did a show on this. So why is it now taking to 2023?
They blessed it with holy water. They've officially voted on it. These were the rules they wanted to change.
I see.
The union said they changed it. The players have voted on it. That's all the stuff they wanted to do. They officially made it official.
It just was now the holy water has been blessed. Sprinkled on it. But boy, I thought we had a podcast on this whole topic last year, ready to go.
At the beginning of the season, rules they wanted to change.
I see.
Some of the minor leagues did try them out, so it's kind of now.
That makes sense.
The one that remember they wanted to push the pitcher's mound back, and that got nixed. And the one minor league they did try with that little pie wedge at second base where the runners are on each side or fielders, on each side of second.
Okay.
And that one, again, old school. You only had 2 guys on each side of the base anyway.
It's interesting. The pitch clock, all this, they're trying to reduce the time. I really don't. They're making it look like they're putting together a solid effort to reduce it. I don't think they honestly care how long the games are. I'd like to see a 2.5-hour game myself, day in and day out. There shouldn't be anything longer than that unless you're extra innings. But
do you think with 2 fielders on each side, batting averages might go up because you don't have the shift on?
I don't know if any of that will have an impact on anything.
That's where I'm kind of curious right now because if you have 2 guys or 2 fielders on each side of the base, and I'm anti-shift anyway, so let's start with that right now. But if you're already putting only 2 guys on each side, you might get more hits a game. Well, there goes your 26 minutes you saved right now on the pitch clock.
I still think you got the shift on. You bunted up the base and
the other side and go,
that'll eliminate that. So it's all these sabermetrics and whatnot, and to some extent, I'm an old school guy. I don't like all these changes and statistics and whatnot. But then again, they're coming up with some new things. But I don't know if it impacts that much the game itself. These are all they're barely moving the needle on any of these changes.
Yeah, the purist in me is okay with all of them.
What's that?
The purist in me is okay with all these changes. I got no problem with that. I was kind of anti-shift, like I said before, so whatever. The bases being bigger, okay, I'll go along the whole, well, players are faster, bigger, stronger now anyway. People are getting hurt. I'll give you that then. That is a good reason. As long as it didn't say, we're making them bigger for a better chance at stolen bases, because you look at the numbers, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's not today's player.
Correct.
I'm glad they didn't change the pitcher's mound.
Yeah.
Either distance back or height up or anything like that. I'm kind of glad they didn't change anything else to pitchers too, where they didn't go back to the whole, nope, you can pitch to one batter and come out. They're keeping that. You got to keep 3 batters in or finish an inning. They're keeping all that stuff. So not changing the other rules they've changed. They're kind of adding on to it. And these aren't really earth-breaking rule changes where you're going to forget them.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, I forgot I couldn't do that. Whatever. If they put the pie wedge, like the first third of the season on the field even, like they had in the minors, they show the diagrams, if you look it up, I'm okay with that. Because it'd be great for the fans to remember too. Maybe you got to put it in with your computer graphics on the TV part. Yeah. Show where the lines are. I'm okay with that. I don't care. The pitch clock's gonna be interesting though.
And I'm thinking that's one of those things that they're going to try to implement, but I don't think it's going to be enforced at all. But it's a good gauge. It's a good metric, but I don't think you're going to have penalties based on going over the time. You're not going to see that too often.
You might in the first month of the season, maybe. I mean, I hope they got the big numbers on the outfield wall showing it.
Yeah.
15 seconds and 20 seconds, and God forbid we're banking on Angel Hernandez to count the 15. Sorry.
Yeah.
He screwed up a call in the Mets game yesterday. I'm still bitter.
Oh, yes. He's got a long history of that.
Yes. He was due for another mistake pretty soon. Yeah, so that's it. The races are coming out good. Mets and Braves. Mets did lose first place for a little bit last week. Got it back. We'll see how it goes, though. This is why you play.
How about Mr. Pujols?
Mr. Pujols is now 4th. I'm sad.
697 career homers.
Yeah, and he did pass up Barry Bonds' record for most different pitchers he's had a home run off of, too, now.
So that's right. I keep forgetting to track that as well. Yeah. Every time he hits a homer, now the big focus is who is it off of?
Did you see he had the home run? I think it was Pittsburgh the other day, and Gal caught the ball, and it'd been like a year since her dad passed or something silly like that. Not silly, but some anniversary of something.
Sure.
And her being a good human, good God-loving American, went to go give Albert the ball and said, "Hey, we're here because it was my dad died a year ago, and he was a fan, so we came to the game." Albert said, "Keep the ball. Means more to you." In fact, autographed 2 more and gave to him.
See, and that's good stuff.
You don't see that in football. You don't see that in basketball.
No, that's
Albert is such a, I wish players could be half the man he is on stuff. You see him giving his jersey away to kids all the time in the crowd after a game. I just wish he was playing one more year because he's not going to get what he needs 18 more to pass Ruth. He's not going to do that.
Yeah.
So I wish he would have
maybe he's the guy that takes a year off, retires, and then comes back. Who knows?
He misses it. He comes back after the All-Star break. He has that itch, Yeah. We'll see.
I can see that.
I'd be okay with that, but yeah, I just hope he gets the other handful more to get the 700. That'd be cool. But here's the sad thing. Do you see updates on it on the news all the time? Nope. I've not seen a thing on the local or national news about it yet. Yet McGuire and Sosa, when they had their chase 24 years ago, it was headline news every night.
That's all it was.
Bonds going for the record. Here's what he did every night. Man's reaching number 700. Just went 4th all time. And he's, as far as I know, His tests are clean all the time, so that's why are we not talking about this?
Yeah, that's the reason that we should be as well.
Yeah,
Good guy.
that's what I got. You got any more news and notes, sir?
Baseball, Major League Baseball. So the Twins, we know
I've
they're
heard
in
of
third
them.
place. They're not doing well. Now
Low 500.
the next 11 games are going to be interesting. 6 are against Kansas City, 5 are against Cleveland.
That's right. They have that 5
And
days.
so 11 games right there. Once again, you've got to start beating Kansas City. You need to start beating Cleveland. And it's still close. Things are still tight.
Yep.
Now we have to consider who's all coming back now. Now we've got Bailey Ober should be back. He's doing a rehab assignment for a game or two in the minors. He'll be back. Not saying he's going to overpower and win these games. Josh Winder's back. Lost already, but we've got some hope yet. And we get Louis Varland. He's going to be announced to pitch one of those games of that doubleheader with Cleveland. And so I don't want to put false hope, Andy, but I'm still an optimist. We still have some games here and some winnable games. Now, the Twins at Target Field only have 9 home games left. We're nearing the end of the season.
They had that big stretch.
We're on the home stretch. So, 3-game series, and there's no more games at Target Field. A lot of these rest of these games are on the road. We also have some games against Detroit we need to win. There's a 3-game series to end the season in Chicago against the White Sox. That could be some fun baseball to watch. Now, in other news, former Coon Rapids High School star, second-round draft pick from Oakland A's, Logan Shore, was cut this last week by Detroit Tigers. Played Florida Gators 3 seasons there. Came out as a number 2 pick overall, not a number 2 overall, but a second-round pick by the Oakland A's. Spent 5 or 6 years in the minors. Last couple in AAA. They went from moving him to a starter, to a long reliever, to a middle reliever. Nothing seemed to really work. We saw the writing on the wall. His ERA still was up there at 4 and 5 most of the season, and he was released. So that's a local stat there. But for those playing fantasy baseball, we're in the playoffs now.
That's me.
So me too. We're in it. It is fun. The regular season's done. The playoffs have started, which means only 3 weeks left, really, and the season's done. Fantasy football's kicked off into high gear. And for senior men's baseball, Andy, for those of you listening and watching who follow the 50-plus baseball league here in the Twin Cities, we're in the final week. 1 week to go here. Final week of regular season baseball. And the state tournament will be announced, the brackets, next week. So we're winding down on that as well. Fall baseball's in high gear. I've got a trivia answer.
Yes, answer.
NFL Week 1 didn't bode too well for the home teams. What's the win-loss record of the home teams, excluding the game here tonight and Monday?
So
the win-loss record of the home teams.
There was 15 games and there was 1 tie. So 7-7-1, I'll say.
Okay. And that's fair enough. That's a poor record, but it's at least fair enough. The actual answer for the trivia question, the home teams went 5-9-1 this weekend.
Wow.
Only 5 teams came away with all the tailgating and galore that happens the first week in NFL. One team, of course, left like with a tie, kissing her sister kind of a deal.
Yeah.
It's hard to leave a game at home that you get all prepped for and psyched for all season when your team loses, and only 5 teams had wins this week, including the Vikings. They played well. 4 other teams, including the Vikings, in addition to the Vikings. That's all the teams that won. Now, everyone else got beat or tied.
The division, the game where they tied, that was a divisional game. The other 2 teams in that division both lost. So they're 0-1 and in first place in their division.
First place with an 0-1 record.
That's the only division without a team with a win after week 1.
Now, the game tonight is going to go probably the same way. It's Denver, highly favored, at Seattle. So home teams could go 5-10-1 this weekend.
One thing I want to get on, a little soapbox tangent here. Defend my Bison a little bit. Watching the Vikings-Packers game the other day. One of the first plays for Green Bay. Rodgers throws one deep. Watson drops the ball. Bison, who was drafted third receiver for the Packers, trying to make the team, drops the ball. Of course, if you don't make the great reception, Rodgers gives you the stink eye. And
yes,
of course, the media's all got Aaron Rodgers back. So, rotten receiver, you're terrible, you're no good, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to get on my Bison bandwagon here and go, listen, Aaron Rodgers, every other quarterback in the league, play some preseason with these guys and get some timing down. Don't not play any preseason games. I could hit everybody and their brother wide open at practice, no problem. Run that play at practice with no pressure on you, not an issue. Week 1 in the NFL, he's a rookie. Darn right he's nervous. Aaron Rodgers is calling my number on one of the first plays of the game. Oh, my God. So, yeah, he's a little nervous. Maybe if you would have done it in preseason games, they're sitting on the bench, you prima donnas, all of you, this wouldn't be an issue. There was so much sloppy play all throughout the league. In the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game, they're ripping on the Cincinnati team because, their long snapper got hurt. They'd have another long snapper come in mid-game. Well, it's just a long snapper, just a kicker. Okay, that's timing. That's like a ballet dance. That's such timing choreography. You only have one long snapper. Where was the day where you had guys who could do multiple stuff? They're trying to find a tight end or a lineman that could snap the ball.
Yeah. You were always typically 3 deep at least. How
about your regular center? Why is he never given the option to be the backup long snapper? Well, God forbid he does that, It's always a lineman or a tight end or something who used to do it in high school.
Yes.
Why not your regular center? Just give it a little more oof. You got the idea of it's kind of like a shotgun, a little longer. Why that isn't an option? One guy goes down, they're all upset. I just can't figure that out.
You get the complaints about the long preseason. They fix it to go down to 3. The starters don't play, and now the fans are stuck with sloppy regular season games that you're paying big tickets for, and it's a slop fest.
You paid full price for preseason games. The first couple 3 weeks are just going to be sloppy football. Well, okay, with the exception of the Bears-Niners game because it was raining, that was a sloppy game.
Literally.
That was literally a sloppy game.
I did see some of the highlights of that game.
Yeah.
That was unreal.
Yeah. Monsoon.
So it's interesting. You have the rule changes, and the fans want this stuff. Get rid of the preseason. And it may be the owners. It may be the management, too, that sits the star players. But you get to week 1, and it's really an exhibition game. It's really the feel of it.
Yeah. Yep.
So the good comes with the bad. People want changes, but you also have to accept the results that are kind of not flattering, I guess. But.
Yeah. So I get it in baseball. The pitchers in spring training, the star pitchers, maybe they go 2-3 innings. They're fine. So maybe they can't go 5-6 innings when the season starts. But at least they're out there with the regular catchers and regular hitters and fielders. For
you could still
two rounds of play.
I think you still go a series or 2, even those preseason games with the starters, and it phase them out and then bring in the other guys. But these 3 preseason games, these 3 preseason, a lot of these teams didn't have the starters set foot on the field at all.
Right. I mean, fine. Have your star quarterback wears the red jersey, can't tackle in a preseason game. Whatever. Gives them a little more time with the receivers and linemen and everything else. But
yeah,
you don't want to play then. Don't bark when they can't catch the ball or their timing's off in a handoff when you were too good to be out there for the game.
It's an interesting dilemma. Now, the good side is this, Andy. We're in fall. It's fun fall football season weather. These Gopher outdoor games have been phenomenal. The Vikings played indoors, but it seemed like it was outdoors with the glass.
High school football.
I'm ready for the football season.
High school football's kicking off and doing well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you got your small colleges, Crown College, Bemidji State, NDSU, all your local schools. Football's football, don't get me wrong, it's fun to watch. But it's kind of like, to me, basketball. The lower you get, the more fun it is.
Yeah.
The fans have more fun. And of course, as we know, going to town ball games and everything else, the fans are much more knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Because they have more interest in it. They follow it harder than they do the pro one. The pro guys, you sit next to the stadium, somebody, he starts babbling stuff off to you, and you're going, didn't Barrero write that same thing word for word yesterday? So, but you get locally, it's all your opinion from being at the games. So that's why I like that part better.
That's interesting. And it's fun on Sundays, too, to watch the Twitter feed, the scroll on NFL. Just all the armchair quarterbacks just come out of the blue, and it's all just opinion-based. But it makes for some good comedy.
I want to end the show on my best college football score, or best news out of college football. Yes, some division, the Bowl Championship Series teams.
Yep.
They beat some of the big schools. Best ever. Saw on the paper. Sorry, Coach Mike, but 0-2, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. That does my heart good.
It's unreal. It's a fun time of year. You never know what's going to happen. And like I said, some of these games you lose, even though it's a couple points and it's close. At the end of the season, it doesn't matter. You need the wins. So
right, like Bemidji State, they lost by 2 last week and 1 this week. That's still 0-2. You don't get credit for really playing hard.
That's going to hurt. All right, sounds good. That's all I've got for this week. And have a good week, everyone, here, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.